Okay. So obviously we've just come out the lockdown and that. How's it been since the lockdown when it comes to doing your retreats and that?
Yeah, I mean, they've been obviously Retreat Me as a platform. We help other people advertise their retreats. So in terms of the platform itself, we've had lots of people re-registering. Of course, we kind of started in Thailand and Bali, helping people out there. Like there's lots of amazing independent retreat hosts out there with incredible retreats, and that was kind of the ethos behind Retreat Me, is to help these people kind of market. So that was when we started, and of course literally 4 months into the journey was when we started with lockdown. So yeah, of course it's been incredible to see everyone getting back to running the retreats. Lots of people, the demand is there, of course, people itching to go out. And I mean, if anything, the emphasis on going out and traveling and being healthy is rampant, like more than ever, and set to grow even wider over the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, it's been really incredible to see everyone coming back, and to see kind of, although COVID was really tough on everyone, it really does seem to have pushed everyone into an incredible space with really appreciating their mental health and really taking the time to focus on that. And then also getting back to nature, being in the outdoors. It really feels like it's really drawn attention, to those things that are really so important to us, as human beings. So it's been kind of really good to see that shift over into that mentality.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something I've seen quite becoming quite popular in the fitness industry, about doing all these type of retreats and that. Obviously, I find a lot of it's based around like yoga and obviously Pilates, which is your background. Is there other spaces in it now? Do you do like things like the weight training, like something like what I would do?
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly the reason why I wanted to create Retreat Me as it is, where people can really custom build, or really look for very specific kinds of training. So I really didn't want to make it about all about yoga and Pilates. There's so many spaces already you can go and search yoga retreats. However, connecting with really great practitioners in other, in other disciplines such as Muay Thai, as in terms of strength and conditioning, like it's a lot harder to find those really great providers, and so that's why Retreat Me is very much, I try and steer away from, even though I am Pilates teacher, obviously myself, but in terms of reformer Pilates, again, it's a very niche product. There's not many others out there, and in terms of retreats globally, very, very, very few reformer retreats. So again, I wanted to create a space where people could come and find those really specific kinds of training that they want to do. So they can either connect directly with practitioners, they can find people that are already running retreats, and really really find what they want to do within that holiday. So they don't have to pay for things they don't want to do, or be in an environment that maybe they're not entirely comfortable with. So that's why the platform is set up like it is. But 100%, with every discipline, there is always room for retreats, because there's always people that want to go away and really focus on that practice. So whether that be a specific kind of yoga, a specific type of Pilates, a very specific, strength and conditioning, maybe they're really kind of trying to get that last bit of cut for whatever it is they're trying to push for. Everyone's goals are different, and I think it's really important to understand that in the fitness world, in the retreat world, that there's lots of different body types, different personality types, people wanting to achieve different things, people's lifestyles are different. And I think trying to culminate and bring those things together in one easy to use place is really, really important.
What do you find like most like customers are looking for when it comes to retreats? What seems to be like the main thing for them to go into doing a retreat?
Yeah, so I mean, really, honestly, it's been really different from mums who just want to get away for a few days and just have some alone time and just really focus on themselves, and their bodies, and just having some time to really focus on them, to people that are really wanting to focus on their mental health and taking some time to practice that. So going and working with, we've got people that have, hypnotherapy sessions, etc. It really does vary at the moment. We're also seeing a lot of people hit into the adventure side. So, booking custom built holidays, but really focusing on getting away and being active. So they're not just kind of booking a resort to go and sit in the resort, and they really want to connect with guides in the local area. They want to get out and hike and bike and, go sea swimming and all those kinds of things. Like so we're seeing a little bit of a mixture through Retreat Me at the moment. But I suppose as our audience builds, we'll get a bigger clarity on what is the more popular section, I suppose.
Yeah, because I can imagine sometimes when I think of retreat, I feel like about relaxing, meditation, all that kind of side. But I could also see that a side of being more physical and getting out and doing like walks or hikes. It seems to be quite popular now.
Yeah, I mean, also as well, people kind of going to Thailand and booking, especially with all the remote work now, right? Which is people have the opportunity now to go and spend 3 months in a retreat and still work, but it really focus on their body for 3 months. And so we see people going out to fitness camps in Thailand, spending 3 months on those retreats, and really focusing on getting healthy and fit, so they can kind of give themselves a really great, trajectory from there, especially if they've been quite unhealthy before. So that is becoming a very popular trend as well now, is kind of long-term residencies on retreats for people that are, nomadic workers, I suppose.
Yeah, I can imagine that being good because I mean, I've always tried to get into things like meditation and that, but my mind's so active. And for me, I always say to people that we've spoken to people on here before about like yoga and Pilates, the reason that's probably shied me away is I always like that fast movement kind of thing. And what I always say to people is like, for someone like me, with my kind of mindset, I need that more adventurous, and in a way where I'm getting involved in something kind of drifts my mind away from thinking of everyday life. That's why, like on a Friday night, I always say on the podcast, I play basketball, and I always say to people, the reason I'm so passionate about basketball is not the one that I love the sport. It's one, I just, for them 2 hours on a Friday night, I'm just concentrating and getting the ball and getting it through a hoop. And it takes my mind away from everything else. And it's a lovely way for me, even though it's physically demanding from my head, just have a bit of space from work. It's just at the end of the week, I'm doing this and then I'm done for the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, same with Pilates, right? Especially the reformer Pilates, because it's so very specific. And so, in your head, you've got no time to think about anything else because you're so concentrating on making sure you're getting the right muscle to connect, you're moving in the correct way, everything is aligned. And so again, even with Pilates, it's almost like an active meditation. And I think there's a real, again, we focus on being silent and being present and everything else, but there's also, like you say, your mindset is different. You get a lot from being active, and in that way, that is your silence, isn't it? That's your internal voice, not thinking about the everyday things, but actually just zoning in and being present. And actually it's kind of about how you, and then for some people that can be going out into nature and just literally focusing on the noise of the birds as they walk, and so again, there's lots of different ways to be mindful. And again, it's about understanding that not everyone's the same, and people, really get a lot out of different types of physical activity. And like for me, my Pilates is my thing. I do meditate. I love my sound healing. I'm a big sound healing fan. But in terms of making sure I get on my reformer, making sure it's a hard workout. It's not all stretching like people think it is. It's tough. Yeah, and so that again for me is like my active meditation, I suppose.
Yeah, I had a woman, Sophie, you might know from our hometown Southport, that does Pilates. She was talking to me about how it works and that, and I know a few of my clients have tried the Pilates reformer stuff, and they said it's very difficult. I'm definitely going to give it a go at some stage, definitely when I've got a bit of time. But from a nutritional aspect on the retreats, is a lot circuit around how people eat. Obviously now, like things like plant-based food seems to be quite a big thing, but then you still what's a massive thing is that is the opposite. It's like a keto type of diet, a paleo diet. It's very meat-based. Do you find a lot working with that? Can you cater for two on that, or do you tend to be one or the other?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tend to find that they're entirely vegan, or there's a menu base with a variety of different things. I've never yet come across, and don't get me wrong, there might be one out there, I've not come across it yet, but one that's entirely keto or entirely carnivore, because that's another big trend that's kind of going out there at the moment. Is like this entirely carnivore, really highly meat-based diet. But I've not yet come across a retreat that only offers that, but I have come across many retreats that only offer vegan. And so, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different, again, it's really down to the host, I feel like, but I've not yet come across, I mean, lots of people offering keto as an option, but not entirely, you have to do the keto. So
it's a different one with keto. I always say to people, with the keto, to be a keto diet, you've got to go long enough to get into a keto state. So if you are just going off meat and fat as your energy source, it takes a while to actually get to that stage through your dieting and through fasting to a certain degree to get it going, depending on how much glycogen storage you have in your blood and that. There's quite a good thing that I mentioned on one of my own podcasts when I was talking about Limitless, which is a documentary on the National Geographic channel with Chris Hemsworth. He was talking about all about things to improve longevity. So do you find like with that, talking about that, do you find a lot of people go there to try and rejuvenate their bodies in ways about how they approach the nutrition, how they approach the exercise, not just from a mindset point of view? Do you get a lot of clients just going there as a little bit of a recharge?
Yeah, and like almost like a reset. A lot of people like to go and do kind of the fasting detoxes or the juicing detoxes, because it kind of puts them in an environment that's quite controlled. And so if they want to really just give their body, a 2, 3, 4 day, sometimes longer, kind of complete juice diet, to really give them a complete reset. Yeah, that's a very popular option in the retreat space as well.
No, because I can imagine that, because I think one of the things that I find difficult when I'm training clients and from a lifestyle purpose is trying to completely change the habits and food, which in cases sometimes it works, or sometimes it becomes difficult because they have certain events and that. So I can imagine taking themselves away to a place like a retreat where they can completely focus on that would be a lot more beneficial than trying to sometimes make them changes in a busy lifestyle of work and family and children, and trying to get that nutritional side right. With the retreats as well, is it mainly women, or do you get quite a few men as well? How does it?
Yeah, I mean, it is still largely a female space, growing in the male sector, though, very, very much so. But I think as more opportunities present themselves to men, then men will also take them up. So, there's obviously, like I say, the Muay Thai camps are very popular for the guys, the kind of fitness CrossFit camps. But more and more also going on to the retreats in terms of the yoga retreats as well. There is a larger percentage of males starting to book onto those retreats. But yeah, definitely still very, very much a female space. I'm going to say unfortunately at the moment, because I just think the males are kind of just discovering this space. And I think they just need to learn that there's a lot of opportunities out there for them to go and really focus on their health. And also there's a lot more kind of just male retreats popping up, like male only retreats. Starting to really, and especially males, and focusing on mental health, which I think is really great. We've got a couple of really great practitioners kind of in the Middle East that run male only retreats, and it's very much about focusing on mental health, about helping men be able to vocalize how they're feeling, and really, because obviously, especially, different cultures around the world, that suppression of kind of male emotion is massive, and so there's actually a lot more retreats kind of helping guys open up and really helping them to talk about their feelings, which I think is really great. And on the other hand, we've also got things like Wim Hof, which are super almost, I think, a little bit challenging mentally, you know, in terms of getting in the ice and really bringing yourself into that mental headspace. And again, that's, I think, I mean, both male and female on that one, but definitely the guys seem to really benefit a lot from the ice baths and kind of getting into those breathing techniques and all of that. So lots more opportunities out there. It's just about, you know, educating, about helping people hear about them, understanding the benefits, and you know, and kind of bringing them to the audience. So yeah, lots out there, and I hope to see it grow very rapidly over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, I think men are getting like that, to be fair. I think men are, what I see sometimes, like definitely over time, when I started PTing, for some reason it tends to be a little bit more than women. Mm-hmm. And now it's more becoming 50-50 with me, maybe more now men are start to look after themselves. I mean, I know certain conversations when I've been in places, what do you do? I'm a personal trainer. Oh, I would have a personal trainer, but I know I can do it by myself. I do a labouring job and stuff like that. But always I say to people that, yeah, you could be quite active being a labourer, but it's not the same as actually working Pacific muscle and the whole thing you go through with the endorphins and that. You know, working in labours tends to be more of like, don't get me wrong, a lot of people love doing a labouring type of job, but sometimes you feel like you're kind of a slave to that particular job, where then you're not really getting that physical exercise, the endorphins hit, the mental clarity of it all. So I definitely think as time goes on, I think men are definitely pushing, not just in my section, but even like yoga and Pilates. And what you said there about doing men only camps, I think that could be the bridge for a lot of men to get into it. Where some other men, I wouldn't be bothered going with a bunch of women, to be personally honest, to do a retreat. But I think if you looked at it as like a men only thing, I think they'll do that. I'm more of a one-to-one type of coach, but I do know like a few of the guys where I'm based, obviously Southport, there's a lot of men only classes for like a certain age group to try and really appeal them to that, even if it's physical fitness, like kind of a CrossFit or personal training, or even to like speaking to Sophie with the Pilates, like she does a men only Pilates. So it brings them all together, because sometimes I think it's just a natural thing. I'm a bit still like that. You always feel like, you've got to lift weights, you've got to do a certain way of doing it. But I think people are getting better at that, and obviously with the mental health and all that, it'll be definitely good. So where are you based at the moment? I mean, was it Cornwall you said before we came?
Cornwall, yes. Setting up my reformer retreat down here for the winter. So we're going to be running just very small, intimate reformer Pilates retreats for 3 to 6 people from February. So obviously great, Cornish beaches, lots of walks, some great things happening down here in Cornwall. So yeah, super excited for that for the new year.
That's good. I mean, obviously going on that as well, do you find like people like the hotter retreats or the colder retreats, or?
I mean, obviously it's lots of people love to travel out to the Far East to warm climates, or even actually Costa Rica. Those kind of places are also becoming more and more popular. But a lot of the time it's just about convenience, cost, what they can kind of fit in their schedule. Taking 2 or 3 weeks to fly out to Thailand or Costa Rica for a retreat may not be financially or time-wise viable. So it really depends on what time frame they've got, what kind of budget they've got. Yeah.
Is that because do you deal with a lot of, obviously, the British? Is that like the ones that want to go abroad to go to the more hotter climates?
Yeah, well, we've got people from all over. so yeah, I mean, because we've got quite a big client base out in the Middle East in Dubai, so they are already in the hot environment. So sometimes for them it's just about getting out of the city, right, and just getting away from the busy and up into the mountains. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because sometimes people that are constantly in hot weather want to go to cold weather, and then some people just like the cold. And I know some people just love this, obviously, in England, it's our winter months, so people love this time of year. Whereas I don't mind it at this time when it gets towards Christmas, but after Christmas, I'm like, oh my God, come on, summer, hurry up, spring. I hate it, the dark nights, the cold, bitter weather, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So Stacey, what's the best way for people to contact you, or if they wanted to look into getting in on a retreat with yourself or anything like that, what's the best way of approaching you?
Yeah, my Instagram page, stacey.e.sharpe or pilates.reform. So they're my two Pilates kind of contacts. You know, if you're looking for various retreats, then hit up retreatme.com. That's retreatmi.com. Lots of different options there in the UK and abroad. So lots of things happening through that site. But yeah, so they're probably the best ways to get in contact.
Brilliant. Right, well, thanks very much for your time, Stacey, and thanks for coming on and doing this for us.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.